afternoon, good evening. My name is Rich Clark and I'm a hypnotherapist and future life progression therapist. I've also been a holistic therapist for over 14 years. Anyway, I'm talking about Throwback Thursday, and these are some of my favourite TV series. I've also talked about my favourite albums. I'm going to be talking about films in the future. So this is another one of my TV series I'm going to mention. And this series is called The Prisoner, and it's from 1967, and it is a British series. It actually was created by Patrick McGoohan, who had done Danger Man. He was also asked to be James Bond, but never took the role of it. And this series was created by, he played the lead role as a guy called Number 6. And this is an unnamed British intelligence officer who is abducted and imprisoned in a mysterious coastal village where we don't know. We actually know this now is in Wales, and it's called Port Merion in real life, but it's actually, they didn't know whether it was abroad, whether it was anywhere, because obviously there people speak British, but they didn't know where it was, and he never does, and this is how he sort of works with these episodes. The episode plots have elements of science fiction, allegory, and psychological drama, and it's spy fiction. And it was all part of this ITV. So it was all filmed in Wales, and some interior scenes were filmed in Boreham Wood. At the time, the show was sold as a thriller in the mould of the previous series Danger Man. And at that time, The Saint had come out. There was all these different ideas, but this was something slightly bit more about how someone, if they'd been a secret agent, what would happen to them. So the series follows an unnamed British man, so we don't actually know what his name is at all in the whole series. And he abruptly resigns from a highly sensitive government job in the Secret Service, and then he gets knocked out when he goes to his house in London, and he ends up in this place called The Village. And he's surrounded by all these people, and he keeps trying to escape. However, when he tries to escape and do all these things, he finds out that some people have got assigned numbers. So he's number 6, and the actual person is actually against him is number 1 or number 2. And one of the things he keeps saying in this series is, "I am not a number, I'm a free man," and he keeps wanting to leave. Every time he tries to leave the village, he ends up getting this security thing called Rover, which actually is this white balloon. It looks a bit dated. Remember, this is 1967, so it's the 50s. But the idea of it is this idea of, security cameras, watching what you do, everybody's monitoring you. So it's it was very much a predecessor of what these spy shows were and how people were watching this and secret spies. So it was quite an interesting idea. So number 6 is the important target of the constantly changing number 2. So number 2 is trying to crack who number 6 is and trying to crack why he resigned. And the unseen agent is number 1. So this is someone you don't see there. The number 2 keeps changing. So every episode, so often, the number 2, the person who's trying to crack number 6, is a different actor. And most of these were very famous Shakespearean actors. You'll notice most of them, if you watch it, you'll notice them, and they've all went on to do massive things in the 60s and 70s. So with Patrick McGoohan, this is the idea of major series. The series is individualism, and where he's as represented by number 6 versus collectivism. So it's also be the idea of being individual and how you can be against a mainstream society. This idea of collectiveness. The number 2 actors, some of them people you may know. George Baker was quite famous. Leo McKern was quite known. Colin Gordon again, and there's Peter Wingard, who played Jason King. He was quite known. And there was a lot of people who were quite well known in the 60s who did all these episodes. Because of the 17 episodes, the show was presented as serial work with a clear beginning and end. But several attempts were to create an audio base, and the interpretation has slightly changed. There is also some ideas, when you actually read some books about it, quite unusual. But the idea of also The Prisoner was based on all George Orwellian themes and postmodern themes of the series, so it was pretty unique for the time.
I will not be pushed, filed, stamped, indexed, briefed, debriefed, or numbered. My life is my own.
For official purposes, everyone has a number. Yours is number 6.
I am not a number. I am a person.
6 of one, half a dozen of another.
Is this what they did to you? Is this how they tried to break you till they got what they were after? In your heads must still be the remnant of a brain. In your hearts must still be the desire to be a human being again.
This is a most serious breach of etiquette.
And unfortunately, it was very popular, very weird. Some people liked it, some people didn't. The issue's been debated by fans because some stating the two characters are the same, so they weren't always to work out whether the actual McGowan's character was Danger Man, or as he was called, Drake. So they wonder whether it was him. It actually did very well at the time, but they reckon the series was supposed to run longer, but it was cancelled due to that people didn't like where it was going. So originally it was requested 26 episodes. So McGowan came out with 17, and he actually was forced to write the final episode in only a few days. So I think there was always this clash of things. Now, obviously, we do know that there was a remake of The Prisoner in America, which had Ian McKellen as number 2, and then it was Jim Cazaville who played the Passion of Christ. And that version of The Prisoner, I'm sorry to say, is garbage. It's just not very good. I think the idea was there, but I just think the original had its quirks and qualms, and I just don't think the new series had it. I think it's also because there was also better stuff had done. Like if you watched The Island or you'd watched 1984, the films, they were just better done. And there's like films, also The Matrix, things like that, which are all very good. So yeah, I would say The Prisoner as a show, it could be seen as dated, but it's not. I think it's actually the concept of it was because in 1967 this was like the counterculture against the idea of conformity. So I think with this is why I like it. And as a kid, I watched this. I managed to get hold of it. I had it on videotape, and I saw the repeats of it. So actually, because I didn't watch it originally when it first came out, but I do think it's a really interesting TV show, and I think it's some of the concepts it talks about is really intriguing. It also gives you an look into the 60s in a different format than what most people know about. So please enjoy The Prisoner. They must be repeated on Netflix or something. If you can't find it, there is ways of finding it. Please let me know and I can show you where to get them. Anyway, see what you think, see if you can have any feedback, and let us know. Thank you.